loud. Hello, everyone. My name is Christine Gorman. This is November 7th. This is our November general meeting of Hell's Kitchen Democrats being recorded. I have put the minutes from our last meeting in the chat and giving everyone a chance to look at those. Danny, you may have gotten my note that the one addition I had was that you had Heather had resigned as membership director.
Oh, okay. Yes. I also noticed one typo. I meant to type the word filled and I typed the word filed. So I didn't get your note, but I will incorporate those changes.
Okay. And then after we approve the minutes, we also have an agenda to come up with, and we have, or I guess we should approve the agenda first. My suggestion is approval of minutes. Start with some club business, the technical things that we have to do towards the end of the year, getting ready for next year, and then go to the election debrief, so that we have time to talk at length after having done the business portion of the meeting. And then we can have, after the election debrief, new business. So how does that sound to folks? Okay, I'm seeing consensus on the agenda, which is approval of minutes from the last meeting, going through club business, committee reports, things like that, and then the election debrief, and then new business. And by consensus, general consensus, that's approved. Okay, has everyone had a chance to go look over the minutes from the last meeting?
I'm having trouble opening them.
Okay.
I had to save them first and then I could open them. I couldn't open it directly.
Okay.
Well,
Maybe you could email the PDF to the list and he might be able to download it from an email.
Yeah, it's just that we, Alex, maybe I can email it to you right from my personal.
Yeah, I can't close my chat window on the screen.
Okay. Alex. Boy, I know a lot of Alexes. Minutes, here we go. Are there any other changes besides the ones that I just mentioned? And the one that Danny found? Alex, you should be receiving an email from me. I just sent it.
I can't close the chat window in Zoom. I've never had this.
It should have an Xbox on it. In worst case scenario, swipe up and then reopen.
I'm trying that and it's not letting me do anything.
Oh,
So
I would run over if you're.
Why don't
we make a building?
Can I make a motion to approve the minutes? And if there is, with the caveat that if there is some alteration that folks aren't picking up, we'll incorporate that change.
Yeah, we have a motion to approve. Is there a second? Second, all in favor, raise your hand. Aye. All opposed, nay. Abstentions. Okay, the minutes are approved. That brings us to club business. As I mentioned in the email, we have club elections coming up. They come up in January, and that means that nominations are open as of the December meeting, which is our next general meeting. And so now is the time to be thinking between now and December about whether or not you want to be on the executive committee, run for a position on the executive committee. The positions are president, vice president, recording secretary, corresponding secretary, treasurer, membership, events, and what am I missing? And then the political director, of course, and then the at-large positions. A lot of people on the executive committee are probably going to run again next week, but I will not be running as president for next year. I've done it for 3 years, and I think that's a good solid length of time, and it's time for somebody else to take over the reins. So that position will be open. I think it is within our usual practice to elect a committee chair, an elections committee chair, somebody who is not running. That has frequently been Paul Devlin, and the committee consists of people who are not running for a few people who are not running for a position. So if anybody wants to help Paul on the elections committee, please contact him. Anything else that I'm missing there, Paul?
No.
The next item is talking about whether we're going to have a gala, a fundraising gala in December. It's a little bit tight with the election having just happened and all that, but we were all focused on that. So I will turn it over to our events.
Yeah, happy to. I don't really have anything to present, but I think we should think the committee we should have a little committee meeting about this and really take a look at the calendar. I know we have historically done something around the holidays, but just frankly, personally, not sure how much time I'm going to be able to dedicate in this turnaround to do with kind of event we've normally done. But I don't think we should be tied to it having to be like Christmas, around the Christmas holiday time. Like there might be something to having an event after we've elected our new board, kind of a restart, recharge kind of event. So all that to say is I am totally open to helping to organize something. But I think we should have a meeting, a smaller group meeting to talk about what that looks like and how it fits into the calendar with a realistic lens. And I'm sorry, it's just everybody's attention was really focused on.
Of course, no, don't
The
don't
presidential election.
Everybody understands. Paul, I recognize Paul.
Yeah, thanks. Carl, in the past, it wasn't necessarily a major event so much as we had our annual, our December meeting was more of just a social party than an actual, like it wasn't a fundraiser event or anything like that. Or did we do a fundraiser? We did do a fundraiser in December last year, because that's when the judges can give the most money. So
Yeah.
if there is a way to pull something off in December, that would be amazing. But
Yeah, I hear
we're
that.
all volunteers and we get stretched.
But
So.
and so I'm happy to talk about how that looks like, and obviously it's a team that would have to do it. So we can. I think people who are interested, we should maybe we can have a Zoom or something next week, and discuss. But everybody just been and part of and I just want to be mindful of everyone's time, and everybody just put in a lot of work which drained a lot of us. And holiday times, I'm feeling like there's a sense of people wanting to kind of, at least for me anyway, spend some time with my family and some loved ones. And so I do understand the boundary. I mean, wanting to capture as much money as possible. So all that to say, I would love to sit and talk about it with a group of people who are interested in planning an event. And maybe we could do it on Tuesday.
Okay. Catherine, you have your hand up. Is that from before, or did you have something you wanted to?
No, I don't know
Okay.
how that happens. I'll lower it. Sorry.
Yeah, Paul, if we had something in January, the judges could still attend, right?
You know, I forget the dates of those rules. There's actually one of the candidates here. I think, Brian, are you still on? You might know the answer to that question. Brian,
I am
Chris?
still on.
Yeah. Brian, what's the time frame for judges you have to stop giving at a certain point before an election, right?
It's I believe that I'd want to double check on this. It is 6 months after it's 6 months after election day is really the end of the window period for people who got elected.
So but okay, we'll definitely look into it then and figure out, because if we can do it in January and that's better for all of our schedules, then that's when we'll do it. Yeah.
And there is also the period before the upcoming elections as well. So certainly civil court has its period opening, and Supreme Court will by December and January likely be okay as well.
All right. Yeah, let's look into it. We'll find out.
Yeah.
So I'm getting
Mondays.
a consensus that if we could push it into next year, that would be preferable, is what I mean, and realistic, shall we say. Is that the consensus I'm getting?
I think so, but again, we may want to just spend some time where that's the focus of the meeting, and we talk about some of these details. But that's probably the consensus. But let's like.
Yeah. So you have an idea from us. We'll support whatever you come up with your committee, and we'll take it from there.
Lovely.
Okay. Any other club business before we talk about the election debrief? Okay. Then I will turn it over. Paul and I, in talking before this meeting, thought we would start with the positive stuff. And so let's talk about the things that went our way and that were good. And so I'm turning it over to Paul.
Thanks, everybody. I know this is a very challenging time for a lot of us. And I want to sort of open up a conversation for everybody to feel comfortable talking a little bit about how they're feeling, what they're experiencing, what they think about the past and what it's like going forward. But to sort of launch that conversation, I just wanted to point out a few highlights. First of all, on the national level, Trump won. In case you didn't know, that's what happened. So that's the fact of the matter. In the US Senate, the Democratic Party had to defend 17 seats and the Republicans had to defend 9 seats. So for them to have a pickup of 4, isn't as big as they could have done. And 2 of those seats, Joe Manchin and John Tester from Montana, those are pretty Republican states as it is. So those 2 seats, when we went into this cycle, we knew would not be so strong. Sherrod Brown in Ohio, I think, is a tough loss. But again, Ohio has been pretty Republican for a long time. I think the hardest loss for me was Bob Casey in Pennsylvania. I mean, I think that was a seat that we probably could have had. But I also look at in Michigan, where Trump won, the Democrat held the seat and Alyssa Slotkin was elected. So that's something to look forward to. And in Wisconsin, where Trump won, Tammy Baldwin held that seat. So for a progressive lesbian to hold a seat in a state that Trump carried says something about the strength of us as Democrats, right? And so I like to try to look at those things as positives. Arizona is still outstanding, but Kristen Sinema was not necessarily always the strongest Democrat anyway. So if that seat goes Republican, That'd be tough. I would rather the Democrat there over that Terry Lake character. But even if those 2 seats go, that's a 55 majority in the US Senate, and we still have the filibuster, which many of us have complained about over the years, but I think now it can work to our advantage. So let's keep hope for that. The congressional seats have not been determined yet. There is still a chance that we could have a majority in the Congress, although I'm not holding high hopes for that, but I think it is still possible. The other big issue that happened nationally is the pro-choice and abortion rights fights. And we had 10 pro-choice questions, and 10 states had pro-choice ballot initiatives. 7 of those 10 states supported women's rights to reproductive health. And in one of those states that we consider a loss was Florida, where 57% of the population voted in favor of reproductive rights, but the state law requires 60%. So even in a state that lost that issue, it's still 57% of the people voted in favor of it. So again, that's a very positive thing. But notably of those questions is New York State. I mean, we had an abortion rights protection constitutional amendment on our ballot, and statewide, that won 62 to 38. But I take even greater excitement and pride in the fact that in Manhattan, it was an 85% voted in favor of Prop 1. That's where we come in, right? Like just started talking, I think it was Barbara or Catherine, about like shoes out there for Prop 1. We got a lot of new volunteers and new members of the club because of our work on Prop 1. We did postcards that we wrote, our postcarding efforts, and I see Jackie Lauer here, and Jackie, I'm so happy to see you here today. Thank you for coming in. And Sandy Nance and Liz Keefe coordinated a postcard writing campaign effort for this club. We had 8 different postcard writing parties throughout the political season. We had about 40 volunteers doing postcarding. That includes 25 new volunteers that are new to this club. So that's a really exciting thing to think about. And on Columbus Day, when we did the big postcard, we had 34 people writing postcards in one day. It's pretty spectacular to think about the energy that comes from this club and supports these causes. And overall, we mailed 3,200 postcards. Those postcards went to states like Tester and Rosen and Brown, those races for Senate. We focused our energies on NY17 and NY04 and Prop 1. In Prop 1, I just said we had 85-15. 17 in NY17, Mondaire Jones didn't pull it through. But today it was announced that Laura Gillen won her seat. And she won that by just over 6,000 votes of over 360,000 votes cast. So to think about the efforts that we put in, we can really take pride in contributing to that success. The other thing this club really did well this cycle was the bus efforts going out to swing districts. So we contributed to Vote Blue to help fund the buses. Over the course of the 8 weekends of buses, we had over 15 of our members join buses. 4 people from the club captained these buses. And there were a lot of people who got excited about HK Dems through that bus effort. So I'd like to really congratulate everybody in this room and in this club for a lot of great work that was done. So despite the fact that Trump won, and despite the fact that there's a lot of us feeling angst and anxiety over this, and the next 4 years will be hard, the next 2 years will be excruciating. But we did a lot of tremendous things. So I want to start this conversation by applauding and appreciating all of you here. And with that, I'd like to open up to a dialogue, let people talk what they want to. I'd ask that people keep this in. I wonder if we want to stop recording maybe, and just so that people can feel comfortable and that this is a open and comfortable space and a secure space. And then what we talk about today doesn't get re-talked. We don't over-talk. We just respect everyone's opinions. We hear what people are thinking and allow people to express themselves. So would people rather we stop recording so we can have that kind of conversation?
Sure.
I see a couple of hands going up.
I will pause the recording.